the bad press, and maybe they won't be so hard on us.
Well, let's be fair. Let's be fair.
I
It's
wish
not a
all press
slight bump.
conferences or press releases ended with the end.
I know.
And now Elon Musk is stepping down from Tesla. The end.
Yes, he is. But let's be fair. $15 from $7.25 is not a minor bump.
Well, it wasn't from $7.25. It was from around like 10 or 11.
It says here from CNN Money. Amazon also said the public policy team will begin lobbying for an increase in the federal. Oh, the federal minimum wage. Yeah, you're right. Which is $7.25. So what was it at? What did you say it was?
Well, in our area, it was around, well, not ours anymore, but it was around $10 or $11. But I did see it as low as like 9 or maybe like 8, 7 in some places, like in the South and the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's going to be $15 an hour.
Yeah. And that's a pretty big win.
I don't know. Every once in a while, Bernie almost becomes one of the Kennedys. I like the minimum wage to be very high.
Critics, including independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, have said that Amazon does not pay workers enough. They've drawn a contrast with Bezos' spectacular wealth. He is the richest person alive, worth an estimated measly $165 billion.
And you'd think, being the richest person alive, you could do something to yourself so you don't look like Rick Scott. Yeah, I know. Yeah, really. He does look. Wow, that's actually weird. I never put that together, but he kind of does. Yeah, it's the phallic shape.
So Bernie said, "I want to give credit where credit is due. I want to congratulate Mr. Bezos for doing exactly the right thing, pushing it toward $15, and now encouraging a $15 federal minimum wage." This is a very big story, and I think it gets sort of lost in a lot of the nonsense that goes on. But the biggest company in the world.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
It's a huge, huge development. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Bernie Sanders has been bullying Jeff Bezos.
No, literally 100% of this has to do with Bernie Sanders. I mean, he was able to rally the workers and they put a lot of pressure on Amazon, but it was him. I mean, he started this fight and he ended it.
And you know what? Kudos to companies like Target. Target says it had already announced this, but it raised its minimum wage for new hires to $12 an hour in September, and plans to raise its minimum wage to $15 by the end of 2020. Disney also reached a deal to pay for $15 an hour.
Also, with the help of Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
If only he could get things done.
Yeah. Now, Walmart, the country's largest private sector employer, which has over 1 million workers, raised its minimum wage to $11 in February. Now,
before you go on, I have a crazy question for you, or I have a trivia thing. So, do you know who employs the most people in this country?
I would have assumed it was Walmart, but
then you'd assume correctly.
Oh, okay. I feel like it has to be Walmart.
But do you know who the second biggest is?
Dumb all over.
Yes, we employ the masses. Come on, even our employees pay us.
Yeah, no.
No, it's
the
not us.
second biggest, shit. I don't know.
The post office.
Oh, okay, okay. That's cool. I didn't know that. Little trivia. And then this has been the first edition of Trivia Time with Austin.
No, but there's a point. There was a point I have about this. Do you know how much, like you were saying, they get paid at Walmart?
Yeah, $11 an hour.
You know how much even an entrance level employee gets paid at the post office?
17.
Close. It's $16.75.
16. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you know what the difference is?
Good. $5.
No. But you know why there's a difference? Yeah. It's not the mathematical difference. I know you know what that is.
It's government versus private sector?
That's one. And then there's another one too. Labor unions.
Exactly.
Yep.
There you go.
Don't worry, Tom knows his stuff.
I do. I just didn't know what you want.
Do you know where it is? And then even if you don't say anything, she's like, "That's right." It's like, I'd be right. I didn't say anything.
Kind of hoping you would do. Do you think other companies are going to start following suit? I mean, Amazon is it's one of the biggest companies in the world.
Well, I have to say, if it were a different company, I would say probably not. But now I think it's going to be hard for them to not follow suit.
Right. Yeah. And whether or not Jeff Bezos gives a shit if the federal minimum wage goes up to $15, if he's pushing it at all, there's got to be pressure for that to happen. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, this is a very important story.
I just want to take this time and really thank the person responsible. Thank you, Peter Dow. You did a great job pushing for this to happen. What?
No.
Hold on, I'm sorry. The producers are telling me that Peter Dow never once pushed for this to happen.
No, he didn't?
And that his centrist pragmatism hasn't helped the working class in ever.
Whoa. Easy. Hillary supports $15, doesn't she?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't. Oh, shit. Fuck. Well, there goes my point. Yeah. Well, anyway.
She does sometimes.
Oh, well, when it's convenient.
Like when New York passed it. Yeah.
All right. So that's good news. For once, we never seem to have good news, but that's...
No, that was really good news. Yeah. Like, that was really good, unexpected news, yeah.
And then briefly, let's just cover this one, and then we'll call it a day.
I have to put in that Marco Barbaros, and here's the other stuff you need to know today.
Not yet. This one we'll cover just a little bit longer than the rest of it.
Okay.
But this comes from the New York Times. Something else that happened today. Today was actually...
It's the Daily.
This is actually quite a busy day now that I think about it. But Trump ripped apart NAFTA and created a new NAFTA.
Then put it back together
with
exactly the same way.
With slightly different pieces, I guess.
But it's gold now.
Yeah, it's great. It's now because he did it.
It's gold.
Yeah.
I gave it the perfect golden shower.
Here's his exact quote on that. It's not NAFTA redone. It's a brand new deal.
Brand new deal. Just happens to be exactly the same as NAFTA.
Exactly the same thing as NAFTA.
But slightly different.
The key points.
The same.
Key points in this. Trump is trying to make an attempt to steer more car production to the United States. NAFTA required automakers to produce 62.5% of the vehicle's content in North America to qualify for zero tariffs. The new agreement raises that threshold over time to 75%. That's meant to force automakers to source fewer parts for an assembled in Mexico or Canada car from Germany, Japan, South Korea, China.
This is just prolonging the inevitable.
Uh-huh.
Is that these jobs are going to be automated. Those are exactly the jobs that are going to be automated.
Right. There is a little bit of cool news, I guess, in this. One of the agreements that's added is that the factories, those car factories, must pay at a minimum of $16 an hour, which sounds great, but on paper...
but I think that's actually less than they were making.
It might be. And then on to add to that, just what you exactly just said, they're all automated. There might be 5 workers in these plants.
Yeah, and that's why, like what a real trade agreement should do is put aside any of the surplus and use it for training, to train people in the new economic sectors.
Right.
Like, I don't know, the fastest growing one, green energy.
Green energy. Well, it used to be. I don't know if it still is with all the fucking problems that this administration is going to be giving it.
Look, Tom, we have perfectly good, clean coal.
I'm sorry. Clean, all I heard was diarrhea.
Clean, beautiful coal.
Coal, diarrhea. Okay.
So clean, you could eat off of it. So clean. So clean.
Yeah, so clean.
I use it in the shower.
Oh, yeah?
So clean.
Oh, yeah?
Beautiful, clean coal.
Okay, shut up.
Beautiful.
Shut up, Boston.
Clean coal.
Relief from future auto tariffs for Canada and Mexico is another talking point on this.
Those robots are going to be thrilled. Especially when they form a union.
This is a weird one. Wins for American cheese and wine. Perhaps the biggest sticking point in negotiations over the last month.
That is not a win for anybody.
Was the issue of Canada's protection on its dairy market, including limits on imported dairy products from the U.S. and government support that gives Canadian products an advantage on international markets. Dairy was
in their own country.
Dairy was a deal breaker, Mr. Trump said.
Yeah, it looks like a deal breaker.
The new agreement gives the United States victorious victories on both fronts. It gradually opens the Canadian market to more exported American dairy products, including fluid milk, cream, butter, skim milk, powder,
oh my God,
cheese, and other dairy products.
I could just see like a lunch meeting between the two of them, the Prime Minister of Canada and the Orange Clown.
Yeah,
and he's like, Trudeau would be like, I'll have a croque madame with, some camembert, and Trump's like, you should try the Big Mac with American cheese. American cheese. It's just like plastic. You'll love it.
It is plastic.
It's like plastic cheese.
Oh.
We call it cheese product.
Canada
and
also,
if you really want to go crazy, you should try Cheese Whiz. It doesn't even have dairy.
Canada also agreed to eliminate a program that helps Canadian sellers of certain milk products at home and abroad. It also creates a list of cheese names that Mexico and the United States agree can be marketed without restriction in their respective countries, and it forces grocery stores in British Columbia to stop their practice of selling British Columbian only wines on certain shelves. So, I mean, there's some good wines in California, so I guess they'll be treated to a few good ones. But
and shockingly, there's one good wine from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It just happens to be where I used to live.
Yeah, where I currently live. The one positive. One more talking point, and then I'm done with this one. A win for Canada on pretty much. They just renegotiated some chapters of NAFTA. This one is just about tariffs.
This is so boring.
Canada won the fight to keep the provision in the revised agreement. It did agree to eliminate another form of the enforcement between the United States and Canada, which allows investors to sue for relief from foreign countries' actions. So whatever.
Just let Trudeau do whatever he wants. I don't care.
Man, seriously. But anyway, it's NAFTA. It's literally just NAFTA. It's a couple different.
We're going to call it the Nearly Awesome Trade Agreement. Nearly Awesome Trade Agreement. NADA.
You're missing an F.
We got rid of the F. That's how it's different.
NADA?
NADA. Uh-huh. We tried it with an R, but it didn't work.
Oh my God.
Not at the beginning.
No, not at the beginning. I'm not going to say it. All right, so that ends the main story. Some stories that you might have missed. Kanye West calls for abolition of the 13th Amendment, which, by the way,
Tom,
abolished.
What was the 13th Amendment again?
It abolished slavery!
Yeah. Except in the prisons.
Yeah, I know.
Of course. So if there's one small problem with it, we should really just get rid of the whole thing.
Barack Obama backs Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in new round of endorsements. That's interesting. Staffer for Florida gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum fired after tweet calling for Trump's execution. Trump administration abruptly ends a key law enforcement program at wildlife refuges. Nice. Under the fog of Kavanaugh, the House passed a $3.8 trillion tax cut. Elizabeth Warren says 2020 presidential run is on the table, and Tesla CEO Elon Musk resigns as chairman.
Promptly shoots himself into Mars.
And Tesla has to pay like $20 million every day or something like that.
Serves him right, stupid gasless cars.
And that's it for the Trump Report. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have a very interesting interview with a friend of ours. Her name is Joy Marie Mann. She's an activist and a fellow Bernie Sanders supporter. So let's listen to what she has to say when we come back.
Sounds good, Tom. Hey, listeners, before we get into the interview, I just wanted to give you a note from the audio person that we had to do this interview a slightly different way, so the audio quality is not quite what we're used to having on the show. But I still think the interview went really well and it was worth having. So with that being said, I'll let Tom take it from here.
Welcome back to the Dowcast, everyone.
No.
Our next guest is an outspoken activist, a progressive, host of her own show, and a manager of a very popular Facebook page, among many other things. Her name is Joy Marie Mann, and we are very, very happy to have her on our show for the first time, I promise.